You guys see my screen?
Good afternoon. Yes, sir.
All right, so let's make a start. We're starting Objective 11, and basically we're going to be learning about digital media tools. So the objective is that we need to be able to identify digital media tools. So basically, what tools do we have when it comes to photo editing, video editing, and basically audio editing also, because during your exam you will be tasked to do one of these three, or none, or more than one. We don't know, but it's a possibility it will be in your exam. So you need to know how to use how to edit photos, videos, audio. And we're not talking about editing on your phone, because that won't be allowed during the exam. And we're not talking about um, editing through a browser, because that is the second point here. Internet-based digital media tools. We know that we have some tools that we can use through a browser, like for instance Canva. We're not supposed to be doing that either. Whereas we have to have downloaded software on the device and using that. So for instance, like how we have, I don't have any photo editing on my computer except for Paint. So you are free to use software, like for instance, like Paint, to do whatever is necessary during your exam. So we should already know what is open source software. Anybody wants to give us a refresher as to what is open source software? Rima? Since Shanti cannot speak.
Yeah, I was getting to that. Is basically you can the open source allows you to change or modify and use the software basically.
Right. So the code is basically available to you, and you're allowed to, anyone can see the code, modify it, distribute it, and so on. And that basically means that open source software is technically free to use. So that's why a lot of persons tend to use open source software, because and that's why persons develop open source software, because they want to make it freely available for persons. All right, so let's talk about photo editing software. What photo editing software do you guys know about that you would normally use?
Probably yeah, I don't use that, so I don't know.
Any photo editing software that you may know about?
PixArt, I think. Oh yeah.
Yes, that's one. PixArt. Anything else? Not only what you use, but what you know about. It's like if during the exam they might ask you which of the following is a photo editing software, which of the following is not a photo editing software. You should be able to have some idea. Nothing?
Ain't Photoshop one.
Good. So that's the most popular one. Adobe Photoshop Then we have Pixlr, we have Picasa, we have Picnic. Let's search for a few others and see what we get. Photo editing software. Doo-doo-doo-doo. Yeah. So we have Luminar Neo, Adobe Lightroom, Snapper. Google has one. It's similar to this name. Google Snap? No, I just saw it. Google Snapseed. Any of you ever heard of that? Google, what did I just type? Google Snapseed. But
Nope.
that's more of a mobile photo editing software. We have ACDC Photo Studio, the most popular one, Adobe Photoshop. We have Coral Paint Shop. This is another one that's actually competing with Adobe Photoshop. I'm sure you guys have heard about Coral Draw. Or you haven't? But that's more for graphic. So Coral Draw. This is what's competing with or was popular alongside Photoshop, Coral Draw. But I think, is this open source? Is it open source? The vector graphics. Oh, it's proprietary, so it's not open source. Yeah, so and we have Capture One and we have DxO Photo Lab. So those are some photo editing software that we have there. Let's look at video editing software. What video editing software do you know about?
DaVinci Resolve and Clipchamp.
All right, so DaVinci Resolve. DaVinci Resolve and Clipchamp.
Yep.
Clipchamp, good. Anything else? PicMonkey, what's PicMonkey? Is PicMonkey video or picture?
Picture.
Ah. PicMonkey. And iMovie, good. Good. What else do we have? We have Movie Maker. Yeah, Windows Movie Maker. Cinefix. Movie Storm. Storyboard Pro. And let's see what the internet gives us for the most popular video editing software. List of video editing software. Good. So we have Blender. Now Blender is a bit more for 3D work, but I guess it could do some form of 2D. But in that sense, it's still video. We have Lightworks, Shotcut, DaVinci Resolve, again, delete this one, OpenShot, Vidamux, Hit Film, Express, and InVideo. But so those are some video editing software that we have available. Now, that's slideshow. Let me talk about audio editing software before we go on to that. What audio editing software do you know about? Adobe Premiere.
Audacity.
Good, that's the most popular one. Audacity. Anything else? Audacity is basically the most popular. List of audio editing software. Yeah, so we have Adobe Audition. So if you notice, Adobe actually has like software for almost every form of editing, content creation. So Adobe Audition is for audio, GarageBand, Logic Pro X, Ableton Live, Descript, Riverside.fm, Audacity again, and then FL Studio. So those are available to you. For video, there's another one that I used to use. What was it? Wondershare. Wondershare. What was the actual name? Wondershare.
Is it Filmora Wondershare?
Yes, that's Filmora. So for exam purposes, what you guys need to do is basically pick any one of these software and get yourself familiar with it. Pick a photo editing, a video editing, audio editing software, get familiar with it. And then we are going to get that software installed on the computers in the lab so that during the exam, you'll be using that software for your content creation. With that in mind, I would advise that you also start stocking up on stock images, stock audio, stock video clips that you might want, that you might think you might be interested in. Because during the exam, you would have to make certain things, and sometimes you might have to use, like for instance, there was a situation where they had to add an audio, and obviously they could have created the audio from scratch, but we were allowed to basically go on the internet and look for audio and use it. So to minimize that time, you can start searching for stock audio and images and video and so on that you think you might want to use during the exam. And it's nothing too difficult. Stock audio, free. Yeah, you can even search for the term royalty free. And so I'm pretty sure you can't hear that. I'm not sure why that doesn't work anymore. Yeah, and notice there's a download option. The topic you should want. Yeah, they would tell you the topic. It'd be like a central theme, just like how you had the exam, the mock exam. They would give you a central theme, and all the questions would be basically surrounding that theme. So in essence, sometime when you download No, they won't give you beforehand. So sometime where you download might not match the theme, but at least you might be a little more prepared. It's nothing to worrying about, because in most cases you can actually create it from scratch. Like if they ask you to design a poster or a flyer, you can actually just draw something right in Paint, and that's fine. They would accept that. But I'm just letting you know your options. And during
Me who can't draw.
and then during the exam, you may or may not get access to the internet. For the past couple exams, we got access to the internet, but we don't want to make it a habit, or we don't want to say that we will get access and then next thing you know we don't, because technically we're not supposed to be using the internet. But is how they structure the exam now is that we have to get the resources, but they're not offering these resources for the exam. Yeah, Shanti. All right. Um, okay. Okay. Now, internet-based tools. That's basically just like all of these editing softwares that we looked at, but just that the software is basically sourced from the internet. We must have internet access in order to use them. Like, for example, Canva. Um, as Canva has its offline version, it has a mobile app version, but you can also, why is Jeremiah's name here? But you can also use it through the browser. So that's what we mean by internet-based tools. So tools, but so we won't be using those tools during the exam, especially. It's more of the offline-based tools we're going to be focusing on. So, can you use more than one tool? Yeah, nothing's wrong. You can use whatever tool you want, whatever software. Once it's offline, you have no restriction. Once it's directly from the computer, but it must be something on the computer, you have no restrictions. Let's talk about this internet-based tool. So the negative is that you have to get internet access, so that's going to be the disadvantage. But is there any positive? Is there positive to that?
I mean, it's free. You don't have to like download stuff. You could just use the stuff.
Except for the free parts, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be free. But the last thing you said, you will have to download anything. So no installation of files, less storage required. Because you don't need to install anything, you don't need to download anything, which is going to take up storage on your device. And that's basically why we have internet-based tools. Like for instance, the Chromebook. If you ever notice, or if you ever had a Chromebook or ever looked at a Chromebook, you're gonna notice that it doesn't have much storage. They make a lot of cheap laptops, and they would sell those laptops with 32 gigabyte storage, and they run in Windows, and it has 32 gigabyte storage. It has 64 gigabyte storage. Why? Because those laptops aren't designed for you to install software on them. They're more designed for you to be used with internet-based tools. So tools that you can run through a browser basically. So you don't have to install anything and that's going to take up storage. Like for instance, so we talked about Canva. There's also Microsoft. Can I spell Microsoft? Office 365. That's I think that has a version where you can access through the browser, where you can access Word, um, Excel, and all the software through it. So, but we know about what is happening? Yeah, but we know about Google Sheets, Slides, and Docs. So that's the equivalent to the Microsoft Office. But now obviously, Google was out first with Google Sheets and so on. They had their internet-based tool out first. But even though Google had their own out first, companies, businesses, they still prefer to use Microsoft Office because they consider it more reliable in terms of like business carrying out high-end tasks, you can see. So they prefer the Microsoft Office. So that's why they would even though Docs and Sheets and Slides are free, they would still subscribe for Microsoft 365 and to get access to the browser because of getting certain functionality and so on, reliability and so on. Even though Google might still offer that, some businesses organizations still prefer Office. Can you think of any other internet-based tool?
Um, I just use them, but I don't remember the name for like remove the background and watermark and everything, photo editing, but I can't remember the names.
Okay.
I just click the first one that's come up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 'cause a lot of them you just type in the name and whatever link comes up, you use them. There's a lot of sites like if you do Word to PDF converter, you don't even. I used to actually download software for these until I realized, but this is years back I'm talking about, that you can actually use online based tools to do these conversions now. So it makes it a much more easier because if you were to actually install this application, it's only going to be a small application, a small file and a small installation process. So to run that through a browser now, it makes it much more efficient. Now we have audio slideshow. So here we have photo story, Animoto, um, photo pitch. Do you guys know of any other slideshow software?
No, I don't know any.
Canva is one. There is normal gallery create slideshow. But we're talking about mm,
What about photos, like the app?
yeah, I think that's what she's talking about. Yeah, it has a video editor. Let's see. New. Start a blank project. Automatic video. Technically, a video, depending on how you make it, would give you a slideshow. So yeah. Um, um, there is one that I would normally mention, but I always forget the name. Um, slideshow software. List of slideshow software. Okay, so these are some professional ones. Smart Show 3D, Magic Photo Story Deluxe, PTE AV Studio, and notice Adobe Premiere is here. Because technically a slideshow is like a video. Cyberlink Media Show, Aquasoft Slideshow, Photo Stage by NCH Software. But I think that's more animation, what I'm talking about. Yeah, so those are for slideshow, audio slideshow. Now, a cloud-based tool is somewhat similar to what we've been talking about with the internet-based tool. Because cloud is basically internet. And as we spoke about that, it's basically accessing software over the internet. Anybody has a study guide with them?
Yes, sir.
Can you read that paragraph there, cloud-based tools?
Cloud-based tools. There is a rising trend amongst practitioners in various fields you, that makes use of digital media services. One of the most popular tools of this is cloud-based tools, with the need to provide for ubiquitous storage, that is, storage anywhere, anytime, once there is internet. More persons are able to access their content via online storage facilities such as Google Drive, which is the most popular one. These cloud-based storage tools allows for the files stored to be easily shared from using a link from which the person can download the content, or multiple persons can be given shared access to the resource by adding their email address, making them able to access the files. In addition, many software uses cloud-based platforms to store their program, thereby decreasing the need to install on local computers. These would include the use of Flickr, YouTube, Storyboard Pro, Google Docs, and their range of tools, Izu, Canva, to name a few. All of these allow you to work online and give you the option to download later the content without installing software to the computer or device while the content is being created.
Good. Yeah, so as we said before, tools that we can use online. We do not need any installation. Less storage is required because you're basically using the tool on the internet. Let's see what this paragraph says. A cloud-based tool is a software that uses cloud application technology to centrally store and offer up-to-date information to all users. The data is frequently stored on faraway servers, and the program is frequently accessed online and through a app. Good. So we have an idea as to what is cloud-based tool. Now, based on the information that we have here and the information that was read from that paragraph, what is an advantage that a business or an organization that is working on a project, what advantage would they have? Would they get from using cloud-based tools?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Hello, good afternoon. So, is one of the benefits that multiple users can access it
Right, continue.
and that they can work on a project simultaneously?
Good. Any other comments?
Could it be that if it's deleted from one device, it can still be accessed from another one?
Good. So that's the advantage there from a business organization and even like a project base that multiple persons can access the same file. They can collaborate with each other. They can work on the same project with each other. So you're not limited because of cloud-based tools. You're not limited based on your location. So, like in the past, when you want to work on a project with somebody, you had to go and physically meet up with everybody in a room and have discussions with those persons. But today, you don't need to do that. You can, through a Zoom call or Google Meet, have discussion. So that's covering your discussion there. But the actual covering of content and planning and collaborating can be done through various cloud-based tools. Like we have Google Doc, but that's just a simple example. If you're working on maybe a story, everybody working the same Google Doc, but they are far higher end software that persons make use of um, when they're doing a project. I think Slack. I think Slack is one. Or is that Slack is an instant messaging program designed by Slack Technologies owned by Salesforce. No, not Slack. Um, software for collaboration. Yes, Slack is one. I know. Microsoft Teams. So software, we have Slack, we have Confluence, we have Notion, we have Microsoft Teams, we have Workplace, we have Zulip. We have, where's my, we have Trello, um, Neutrino, Colab. Yeah, so the basic idea is just like Google Doc, how you can create a Google Doc link and share it to persons. And as you work in the Google Doc, other persons can see that also. Similarly, we have other software for different projects. Like maybe if you're working on a video, maybe if you're working on a presentation, maybe if you're working on editing something, it can show the persons what stage you're at, what you're doing, and maybe they can comment on it, offer suggestions, see what you're doing, and things like that. So everyone can be on the same page. So that's there is the benefit of cloud-based tools. Good, and that wraps up this objective. So this objective, we were looking at digital media tools that we have available to us. So we basically got to remember various photo editing software examples, video editing software, audio editing software. Not sure about presentation, but it would be good to memorize a lot of these software because they could question you from that angle. Like which of the following is or is not a certain type of software. Good. Any questions before we close off with this objective?
No, sir.
All right. Well, let me close this here and start objective 12. Do, 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 do. I think this year I'm gonna start back animation game design from September, but I'm not sure if I'm gonna get anybody. Future trends and development. All right, so this is the final objective for module 1. All right, so what is our objective? So the title for objective 12 is Future Trends and Developments. And our goal for this objective is to discuss future trends and developments in digital media. So where is digital media heading? That's basically what we're looking at. What's the future trend? What's the future development? And we're basically going to be talking about what affects those aspects, basically. What affects the future trend? What affects the future development of digital media? Now, the first key factor that affects trend and development is basically accessibility. Who would like to read that?
I can start.
Good.
Yeah. Greater accessibility. More software and apps will be created to be used publicly under open source software agreement. More people will be able to use online support to learn new technologies and software and can become content creators. Therefore, students can get so much practice needed from using this free or open source software under the Open Education Resources OER platform. Online support using popular video sharing sites such as YouTube. Some commercial software for digital media are sometimes made available in their trial version form for 30 or 60 days, or the older versions are given freely on the internet.
Good. So, based on what was just read, what is affecting accessibility? What is assisting in the accessibility of digital media?
Isn't the first open source because you need like free access to get to use the software?
Good. So, open source, that, and like I said before, open source, one of the key reasons why open source is being pushed is because we want to make software available to persons. Not everybody could afford to pay for Adobe Photoshop, Adobe Premiere, and so on. So we want to make software available to persons who cannot afford them so they can at least still be able to take up these projects. They can get free open source photo editing software, free open source video editing software, free open source animation software, and these persons can still create these projects with them. Now, the Open Education Resources platform, that basically supports it also, because the OER is basically a platform that combines a collection of resources together. It might be proprietary, might be open source, but the key thing is that it makes it freely accessible to individuals. So free to use by students. It's basically only for educational purposes. They make it freely available for. Um, what else? What else affects the accessibility of digital media? Or what else influences the accessibility of digital media? There's another nice point that's mentioned there.
Is it with a trial?
Good, that's one. So how does that help with the accessibility?
Yeah, that is a good point because I downloaded quite a few video editing softwares to try out, and I didn't know that they were on trial for like 6 days and 12 days. And I was like, let me go edit this video, and then I come back and it's expired. Now I don't have anything really because I like them, and now I don't have access to them.
Mm-hmm. Good. And that's the reason why they give out trial versions of software. Because some persons, they might have the money to invest into the software, but they don't know if they should. So what they do, they offer the trial version so you can test it. And like how you tested it and you enjoyed it, now you're more confident in being able to pay for it. So it allows you to access that software there more comfortably.
But it's quite sad when you're broke.
That also. There's another point there that's mentioned that affects accessibility, that influences accessibility.
Is it if the users can be able to use it?
If they can be able to use it.
Like if even if they have a software like is available, if the person doesn't understand how to use it,
All right, so going back to the question, we're talking about accessibility, a person being able to access the software. There's the third point there. How,
the online part.
yes, how does that influence accessibility? It actually goes in line with what you were just saying, that if a person doesn't know how to use it, what does that person do?
Tutorial. Yes, they go look up a tutorial.
Right. Where's the number one spot they go for their tutorial?
YouTube.
YouTube. So, um, so we have lots of online support on video platforms such as YouTube, and that influences the accessibility of software because some persons might be hindered by the fact that they go in and they don't know how to edit video, they don't know how to create an animation. Why would they go and buy this software? Because in addition to going and buy the software, they now need to go and learn how to use the software. And before there was YouTube and all these platforms, um, persons would have to maybe go to a class, pay for that class, and or pay for some form of service because they used to have paid tutorial services that persons would offer, and they would offer those videos on a CD or DVD, and they would watch them and learn how to use the software. So in essence, they still have to go and pay more and learn at the same time. But what is influencing accessibility is the fact that you don't need to pay for classes. Learning is freely available today. You can go on YouTube, you can search tutorial for almost anything, and you'll be able to find a video on it. There's thousands of videos that teach you how to edit photo. There's thousands of videos that teach you how to edit video. There's thousands of videos that teach you how to create an animation. Why would they go and buy this software? Because in addition to going and buy the software, they now need to go and learn how to use the software. So how to create animation. And you don't even need to pay for these videos anymore. Persons create these contents for free, post hours of tutorials on the internet, and that motivates persons to basically take up these opportunities, and that influences the accessibility. Any comments, questions?
None.
All right, so we're moving on to affordability. Who's going to read that?
I'll read it. Affordability. More students and teachers find software that can do their needs easier from using open source software, and as such, there are no limitations on what schools can do. Some commercial some commercial software used for digital media works can cost up to US 1,500 per year for licensing. That's over GA 180,000 at GA 110 to USD $1 exchange rate as at October 2015. In September 2018 at JA 134 to USD 1, that can be JA 201,000. Across the region for those countries that do not have fixed exchange rate, there's an increasing cost to pay for goods and services in USD that are needed to complete high quality tasks.
Good. So in a nutshell, what did you gather from what you read there?
That applications are being more expensive, and it's by when you change the amount it is from US dollar to like any other region, it comes up to more money.
Mm-hmm. So basically, affordability for proprietary software. You were going to say something?
I was gonna say, even it's like how Arima said that even though she wanted to use that kind of software, she couldn't afford it because of the prices. And all these applications, you need to pay it in US or some other foreign currency. You need to get a credit card for it.
Good. And that
So
could
that makes it more complicated to pay, even if you have the money, but you don't have all of that.
good. And that's another disadvantage there, as you said there. Because you might have the money, but you don't have the capability to pay for it. Like, for instance, I have that situation. I want to pay for Google Drive because I want to back up my photos to Google Photos because I don't mind paying for the storage. But I cannot, even though I can afford it, I cannot because they do not offer that service to Guyana. So that,
Oh, that's with them as well. They don't be in certain regions. You can't
Right.
download it either.
So that's another disadvantage there. They limit where they're offering this service. So not only you might not have the means to carry out the service, but they limit based on region and all of those things. So proprietary software must be bought, license, on a subscription basis, which can cost a lot of money. So basically how it was before is that you would pay a one-time service, a one-time fee for a particular software. So like if Adobe 2021 came out, you would pay $100 and you get access to that service. But sometimes you may not get update to that service because you're paying for basically what you get. So they're moving away from that one-time purchase and they're moving to a more subscription service, whereby You pay a monthly fee, you pay a yearly fee. That's what most companies are doing now. But even though you're paying monthly or yearly now, you're gonna be getting constant updates. So that's the advantage there. So like if a newer version comes out, you get access to that new version. If new features come out, new updates, you'll be able to update your application, get access to those new features, fixes to bugs, and so on. Uh, but proprietary software, the disadvantage with them is that you got to pay for them, and it might not. We might not have that money to pay, but as we said, may not have the means to pay. Example, may not have the means to pay, may not have a US card to complete transaction. And then sometimes you just need US information, like you need social security number, and because we don't have that information, we cannot carry out the payment. And then services may not be available in your region. So that's another disadvantage there. And that could limit the development of digital media. But then they're getting the development from those first world countries. They don't care about the 1 and 2%. So this is where target audience comes into play. Who is your target audience? Who do you want to use this software? They are comfortable getting all of their revenue from persons in the US, person in China, persons in Japan, persons in the UK, and so on. They're getting their revenue comfortable. So they don't care, or they're not interested in the 1 and 2%, or you can say they don't want to invest in the infrastructure basically to set up in these regions, and it might not be that profitable. So it all comes back to target audience and target market, and if they can cover the expenses and all of those things. Any other comments? All right, we have ease of use and user interface. Karima?
Yes, ease of use and user interface. More software are available today, and their manipulation or their use become easier. With more online support to learn these or software tutorial coupled with basic ICT skill, one can learn to master these by just playing around with them and see how they work. Google Forms, for example, has become popular, but no one really taught persons how to use. We most times have seen persons use these in producing content and from our own intuitive intuition figure how to use them. What must be noted that how my god, why is it so hard to read? What must be noted that how we interact with these software became much easier due to the excellent improvement in implementation of user interface methods. You may recall that user interface involves practices by users to operate and interact with software and hardware in their execution of tasks. As such, much effort has been inputted to create voice and I'm so sorry. Voice and action responses to the options selected and auto completion of form information instead of retyping, etc.
Are you okay?
No, these things are so hard to read.
Okay. Let's hope it's that. Yes, so ease of use and user interface. Now, how does that affect the development, the accessibility? How does the ease of use and user interface affect it?
Um, I can use an example in my experience.
Mm-hmm.
DaVinci Resolve, yes. So like it has many features and it's like really good for editing. I just don't know how to use it. It's very hard to use. I cannot maneuver through it and I
Mm-hmm.
need to go from tutorial to tutorial to tutorial to trying to figure it out
Mm-hmm.
and I still can't use it properly. So if it doesn't have a like an user interface that's easy to use,
Mm-hmm.
then it can like not attract people. It can push people away. Like like me, I would stop using it because I'm easily frustrated by
Good.
it.
Good. That's a good point. So, um, if user interface is not easy to maneuver, it can feature persons use it. Yes. Any other comments? So the same question they asked in the paragraph. Did anybody teach you guys how to use Google Form?
No,
Did anybody teach you how to use CapCut?
I don't use that, so
What video editing software do you use on your phone?
I don't use video editing software on my
What
phone. I
photo
use it on my
editing software do you use on your phone?
the one that comes with a gallery.
Did anybody teach you how to use it?
No.
No. So, user interface plays a role when it comes to the usability of a certain software or tool. So, if a person cannot navigate that software with ease, if they can't look for what they want and find it quickly, it's going to deter them from wanting to use it, like Rima's situation. So, you ever notice or you ever thought about why all of Microsoft applications look basically the same? You ever give that any thought?
Wait, can you repeat?
Have you ever thought about why all of Microsoft applications look like the same?
Is it so it can be easier to use? You don't have to like learn a different kind of interface because like replicated. You just in any one of their apps you use, you can find what you're looking for because it has the same sections.
Mm-hmm. But do you think that's bad? That
No,
they're replicating, they're not trying to be unique?
and no, it's easier for you instead of me having to go and look back how to use a different app on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
I could just click around LM thing because I remember how to use the first one.
Exactly. And that is why um, they try to have the interface similar to each other because they know you're accustomed to these menus, these tabs at the top here. They know you're accustomed to file and what options you would see on the file. They know you're accustomed to home and insert and all of these things here. They know you're accustomed to help. So by making it similar, it makes it easier for you to go and use the software now. So a simple user interface allows the user to easily navigate that software. Look for instance, OBS software. If you notice, the same filing options that you have at the top here is almost similar to Microsoft Office. They have file, they have edit, they have view, they have that. Notice help is right here also. So they try to make their software similar to each other. Even let me see. I think they updated. Yeah, even Notepad. Look, Notepad has file, edit, format, view, help. They try to make software similar to each other, and that helps persons to easily navigate, find what they want, and use the software with ease. Now, in addition to the design, which aids in the usability, Online support, going back to online support, that helps somebody to um, basically continue to use the software. Like for instance, Arima's case, say for instance, DaVinci Resolve is our only option. Then having all of these online support is going to help her to be able to make use of the software because there's lots of tutorial out there on how to use DaVinci Resolve, but just spending the time to learn the software. But the ability to use it with support is there. So that can allow persons to make use of it. Any other comments, questions? All right, so we're moving on to political, social, and economic framework. And I'm assuming y'all don't know who's got to read.
Oh, is it my turn?
Yeah, because Rima was having a good time for the last one.
Political, social, and economic frameworks. The way in which politics is enjoyed today continues to be influenced by digital media, and there are threats that are posed. Many persons operating in political parties depend on social media apps to share many of their content that they intend to reach their target audience. This arrives to be a more affordable way to do promotion as it does not involve payment of airtime such as those on TV or radio. Oh wow. Are we gonna go paragraph by paragraph now?
Okay. Okay, hold on. At times, these can be harmful as persons may react negatively to the content or more so show how the message is being communicated. A country's political influence can affect how people post information using digital media. Recent announcement in 2019 that the United States Embassy will now be asking applicants to provide a list of their social media names or handles is one such implication. Loop Jamaica had an article on June 2nd, 2019 with the heading US now seeking social media details from all visa applicants is one such predicament. As can be seen, access to the internet is now a task that one must take with great care as it may affect how we do business with other countries and even locally in our jobs or school. Youths are now being urged to monitor their digital footprints, and one school in Jamaica have already launched a campaign in 2018 2019. Think before you click.
Importantly, access to the internet and technologies have been steadily improving since 2015, with more access being provided for Caribbean citizens and for businesses to use to do more to promote and satisfy demands of their operations. Viasat and ReadyNet demonstrate satellite internet across, excuse me,
Across Jamaica on August 23rd, 2019, in an art. In where did I stop at? In an article written by Anna Marie Nairedi. In the article, it speaks to how the technology will empower Caribbean businesses to have improved internet supply to do business across the region and not being restricted to broadband currently provided through cable. As such, business in more developed countries are looking for a new market of operations in the Caribbean to extend their services, providing employment and income for so many locals while establishing improved infrastructure. However, one must consider the major location of these businesses and their capital base that is normally large, as most are operating as multinational companies. Oh shucks, I got more bottom.
I'm back. Sorry, but
Oh, okay.
I could do which one we did to the last paragraph?
Yeah, social climate.
Okay. Social climate has also been affected by digital media as more of what is seen in the more popular countries are influencing behaviors in the Caribbean. With growing demand of social media chatter and improved use of network services such as Showbox and Netflix, we are able to access more content online via the internet, which is not regulated by local broadcasting watchdog companies, and such compete against internet cable TV service providers locally. Discussions on issues of new media in the region took on serious discussions by local media companies recently. Social media and the Caribbean. Article provided by the Caribbean Council by David Gisop, 2014, has a lot of implications for the current situations raised by the Caribbean Broadcast Union after their 2015 conference in Colombia. Article appearing in August 13, 2019. CBU Presidents Bats for Indigenous Media starts a new discussion that persons studying digital media will be encouraged to take a closer look at.
One more paragraph.
Um,
CBU President calls for media engagement in policy and framework decisions. 2019 by the Public Media Alliance again is a God wake up call for discussion by students and, more importantly, government, stakeholders, and businesses to ensure there's protection of content and for the media companies operating within the region.
Good. So first question: how has the political world, how has politics influenced digital media?
Like how they use it?
All right. So remember we talking about what affects the development of digital media? What affects it from growing, or basically what can cause it to regress? What can cause it to decline also? So we're looking at the forward and the backward, advantage, disadvantage. So how has politics influenced digital media in that? How does it make it grow? How does it make it regress? How does it limit it? How does it make it more advantageous? What has it done?
How about how they does like promote stuff on the internet?
Mm-hmm.
Is it easier like to access now? Like if you're voting for like this party versus this one, you can like access different web pages and look up stuff like that instead of having to like wait on the daily newspaper or having to log into a radio or something.
Good. So political parties is much more easy for you to get access to their campaign, their information, through the internet. Good. But do they have influence on how you used digital media? Do political parties have influence on how you use digital media?
Don't they have like I think the government sometimes they issue like restrictions on certain content?
Mm-hmm.
Like isn't it in one of those Asian countries, is it China? China?
Yes.
Yeah, like you could only use the digital media they allow you to use, and anything
Mm-hmm.
outside foreign that they don't like, you can't use. It's illegal.
Mm-hmm.
They could also ban certain companies, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can't use the app inside, or you can't issue the company can't issue their app in this region or something.
Good. So, like China, they have a restriction on what services that you can use. They don't use WhatsApp. they use what?
Is it WeChat?
Yes, they use WeChat because they monitor all of those services. They monitor everything everybody does in China. So, in order to do that, they would have to put their services in place. So, I was watching a video the other day. Even Google is offered in China as a search engine, but Google has to follow their rules as to how to work. Like for instance, China doesn't want you to be able to search for certain things and read up and learn certain things to get certain information. Like for instance, information on the government and certain things and so on. So they would tell Google to block the results of these searches basically. So Google can partake in the country, offer the service, but they would have to follow the rules that China would set in order to be able to do that. So the political aspect can affect how services are being used. Like for instance, WhatsApp can't be developed in China, they can't grow in China because the government won't allow them to be over there. Um, they're currently talking about TikTok. Anybody know what's the current news about TikTok? Or what was happening a while back about TikTok?
Kinda. I just know they have like a court story on it, on like
Yeah,
Wales do on it, and they're trying to bring up problems with the and them and the CEO.
right. So that was a big situation the other day. The CEO of TikTok and the U.S. government court, they were in the about using TikTok to spy. So basically, in a nutshell, they want to ban TikTok, but obviously, in order to ban TikTok, they need solid reason as to if they're allowed to do that and what's not. So that's another situation whereby politics, the government, can have an influence on how digital media grows, how it develops. The paragraph mentioned that how that the government can monitor your social media page to get information about you. So knowing that now, it actually affects a lot of persons because they're now scared, they're now worried about what they post. And then that leads to some person not having any social media at all because they don't want anything about them being on the internet. So that affects the development. So that affects the social aspect. Now, businesses. How have businesses been influenced? How did digital media influence businesses? How did and how is a business influencing digital media also?
They're able to promote their products better and better reach their audience and other people out there.
Good. So that's how social.
Also,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say like how they have certain apps now that you can like order food.
Mm-hmm.
Get it, end up making me download the app
Easy
because it's so
Eats.
easy. Yeah.
Did you
So
try
like,
it?
yeah,
Does it work?
yeah.
What did you order?
Food from Mario's.
Mario. Would that burn down?
Yeah. Why am I being interrogated?
So you were the last person in contact with Mario?
No, no, no. That was a while ago. That was like a week before.
Continue.
But I am upset about that because like I won't get my burgers anymore.
Did it taste good?
Yeah, it did taste good.
Everybody tell me the food didn't taste good.
Certain foods, the tacos is nonsense. I'm not buying that ever again. But the burgers are nice.
Last night I had a tostada and that thing was good.
Okay, now from where?
Taco Maz, Giftland.
I never tried taco ones. I tried one of those nuggets up there and they didn't have nice eclairs and something.
I expected the taco to be a bit more hard. The taco was kind of like a roti. The burrito was good though. But to me, like when they wrap it, it's get mushy. And when they get mushy, it's don't get a nice taste.
You have to get it as soon as it finish. I feel it'll happen to me on by Mario's. The man take too long to bring it.
But that's why the toast starter is good because the toast starter is like a solid, flat kind of surface bread kind of thing, and you just eat off of it. Yes, going back
Very
to what
much
you were
have
saying.
new food to try. Yes. And I had to download the app. So that means, yeah, that's my point. That was really my point.
What were we talking about again?
Downloading stuff like apps like Easy Eats for like access multiple businesses because it has like a whole set of food
Yes.
stores
So
on it.
that's how businesses have been influenced by digital media. They use digital media now to promote their services, their products, and so on. So they use social media to advertise, to show what they have, and then they use applications, websites, and so on to offer their services. Now, so that's how social media basically influenced businesses. But the other way around now, has businesses influenced social media?
Well, that was really my point.
What was your
Like
point?
having to make me download that app to
Mm-hmm.
use it.
But that's influencing you. We're talking about social media in general now. Has businesses influenced social media? Anyone, if you have
Uh,
feedback, go ahead, Arima.
No.
Arima?
oh, sorry. I was gonna say, I don't know about the social media aspect, but in terms of like how she said the easy eats and whatnot, there and not just food, just with any kind of whatever you're selling, you have product you're selling, right? That's business, or even your service. They've influenced how should I say, putting their stuff out there, like the various apps that they're creating. Your yeah. Where was I going with this? Yeah, yeah, like how you have Amazon, right? That is gonna be a little different from the Easy Eat app, but kind of same. But yeah, it's more out there, more giving you more options, giving you yeah. And in the past, you can go and look for stuff yourself. Yeah.
Right. Now, the question I was asking is how does businesses know, because they're using social media so much, how has it influenced their development? Well, basically, a lot of these social media platforms, a lot of these digital media, they're now offering business services. Like, for instance, WhatsApp. What does WhatsApp have?
Oh, the business account?
Yeah, the business account. So they have a whole application dedicated for business people, WhatsApp Business. So now you can promote your business right on WhatsApp. Facebook is basically like an advertising agency right now because everywhere you it's like you use Facebook mainly now to advertise. Years ago it was Facebook to socialize. Now it's like Facebook to advertise because um, a lot of the things they do, they have Facebook Marketplace where you can go and buy and sell. Um, you're free to put up whatever you want to sell. You're free to interact with anybody in the marketplace to buy something. It's local. What else? Facebook offers a lot of advertising options for pages, accounts, and so on. They link it to WhatsApp. Well, it's basically one large company, but just different services. But it's all connected. Does Instagram have anything similar? Anybody use Instagram?
No.
Instagram also has a business option. I think so. I don't use it much, but I think it also has a business option. It has a, I think it has a professional account. I think my account is a professional account on Instagram also. And it offers you more services and so on. So because these social media platform, these digital media platform, they realize that businesses are using them. They started offering services to them basically. So that was the question. How was businesses influence digital media? Well, it caused them now to develop services that are specific for businesses so that they can better offer their services, better advertise, and so um, good. So that's the social aspect, the economic aspect. How does the economy affect the development of digital media?
Wait, how does what?
How does the economy affect digital media? So the economy is basically a person's ability to buy something, to afford something. So how does a person's ability to buy or access services affect digital media?
Is it how now they're creating like stuff you can use for free, but it just will be limited features?
Good. So that influences accessibility, that influences the development, that more persons are going to use it. So good, that's a good one there. So free options but with limited um, functionality. So they don't restrict you completely by saying that how you must pay this $10 to access the service. They say you can get this free version, but you're only allowed to do 10 videos, you're only allowed to do a certain amount of time and things like that. That's a good one. Um, well, basically, in a nutshell, if you wanted to access services in the past, you must pay. Like if you want to watch a movie, you must buy a DVD. You must go to a cinema and things like that. You must pay for cable and all of those things. But now we have online services. We have online content. We're not talking about the pirate-free version. We're not talking about that. We're talking about streaming services, and some of them are affordable. They're much more affordable than actual older services that we used to have. So if a person can afford those services, and then the company offers some services free and some will paid. Does Netflix have a free version? I think somebody told me that we can only do certain things with it.
What about the different options, like how they give you different kind of memberships, like at
Good,
different price ranges?
that can work also. Yeah, so Netflix doesn't have a free version. Good. Good. So they offer different memberships and so on. So basically, if a person cannot afford, that can affect the development of digital media. All right. So our second to last point is pervasiveness of technology.
Pervasiveness, especially on an unwelcomed influence or physical effect, spreading widely throughout an area or a group of people. Technology is changing drastically in digital media. Every day, many new software are being introduced. There is greater usage of software to do tasks of graphic design, editing, compositing, producing, etc. As these skills of people in the digital media improves, this comes with greater demand to purchase commercial software and or decide to use under license agreements at low cost, such as in educational institutions and government agencies.
Good. So what do you understand from that? Pervasiveness of technology. How does that affect the development?
Um, it's well, the increasing widespread is able to uh, get to new people, more people, and make their life easy in some way. Yeah,
What is the meaning of pervasiveness?
the quality is spreading widely throughout a group of people or an area.
Good. So what we're talking about here, pervasiveness of technology. What does that mean?
Spreading it out through like an area or a lot of people, getting it out there.
Good.
Yeah.
So how does that affect the development of digital media?
More opportunities.
All right. So pervasiveness of technology is basically saying that how easy is it for you to gain access to technology? Can you go right now and we're not talking about the ability to buy something, but is it accessible to you to be able to be bought? Can you go and buy Photoshop? Can you go and buy a computer? Can you go and buy a phone? So in our country, we have pervasiveness of technology. Basically, technology is widespread. We have um, high speed internet, we have access to phone, we have access to tablets, we have access to computers, we have access to software. So we basically don't have a limit to technology. Technology is pervasive in that it covers a wide area. But is that true for the entirety of Guyana?
Nope. Especially in the urban areas.
Good. So how does that now affect the development of technology? Does it affect it? Or doesn't have an impact? If these countryside people don't use this thing, it doesn't matter.
Would it would it limit it? Because they wouldn't really know about. Because like I came from Bartica and I didn't know none of these online classroom things, and I
Mm-hmm.
had to figure it out myself,
Mm-hmm.
and that was a whole headache.
So, do you think you are better off knowing or you're better off not knowing?
No, it's much easier because when y'all had online classes during CXC and COVID, do you know what we had? Do you know what the Reverend people had?
Yeah.
Newspapers. Yeah, I'm being very serious. Our work, it's subject biology, maths, integrated maths, science. Everything was printed from, the Ministry of Education, printed all of these worksheets and online stuff on newspapers, and they distributed it at like different outlets. Like it was a library Maya was distributed at. And you had to go like every week to get like a whole handful of newspaper that you probably wouldn't even use. I burnt all of mine. And yeah, it was so difficult. And then when we go back to school, nobody didn't read the newspapers. So nobody didn't know nothing that happened in that whole lockdown.
So how did you pass?
Oh, you know,
Was it just a
somehow.
fluke?
And that's the magical part. Passing 11 subjects when you didn't even know nothing.
So that's the negative there when
Mm-hmm.
technology is not pervasive. in that it doesn't reach certain area and those persons cannot benefit from it. So now imagine if you guys had access to computers, if you had access to internet, how much far better you would have been. You could have been watching classes from a phone, having class like how you're having class right now. You could have been benefiting more. Stay at home
Exactly.
and learning.
Yeah, Kabarka doesn't have online classes. It's very physical lessons.
Hmm.
You gotta go.
So, so not having access can limit what a person can do. Good. Um, so it's not only as I was thinking about it in terms of the business, because but since you brought it up, is that it's not only going to limit the business, it's not only going to limit the company or the digital media, but it's going to limit the growth of the person because we're living in a technological age, and almost everything we do is backed by technology. Like for instance, if you go to a class, um, how would you feel if you go to a class and then the teacher doesn't use any presentation, the teacher doesn't use any video, the teacher doesn't use any audio? It's basically chalk and blackboard. How would you feel? Chalk, blackboard, and textbook.
I just feel like going back to my high school days. We schooling got all them projectors and stuff. We used chalk and blackboard and textbooks.
So how do you feel now that you're being introduced to video, projectors, smart board, and all of these fancy stuff? Do you think it's improving the education or it's
Not really. If the teacher tell me not to use it properly.
so say for instance the teacher doesn't know how to use it properly. Does he
But when it comes to like online lessons, it's like so much easier and less tiring. So much better.
good. So let's look at that aspect. Good. So that's an advantage there. That the online classes, you have a computer, you have a phone, you have internet access. All of that is digital media, and you're accessing classes online from the comfort of your home. You don't have to stress yourself out and go on bed and get ready and change clothes and all of that. You can, as you are, just attend the class. So it benefits the person. So it benefits the person, the growth of the person, and it also affects the company, the business also, because the technology can only grow if somebody adopts it, if somebody makes use of it. Like for instance, if nobody was to buy the iPhone, you think Apple is gonna grow? If nobody buy the Mac computers, will Apple grow as a company?
No, plus wouldn't they need like people to like trial and error all the features and give feedback on how
Exactly.
to improve it?
Right. So even though a lot of these companies they worth billions of dollars, the only reason they worth billions of dollars is because people back them. Their customers are the reason they worth millions of dollars. So if they don't ensure that their technology reaches, covers a certain area, then it can limit their growth. It can limit what they do. But like I said, this all goes back to target audience, target market. They're comfortable with this particular group and they only offer the services there and they're getting enough money from there. They don't care about the other people. But then they got certain people who see those area as a potential market and they go after it. So that there, oh shucks, the rain is falling. Shucks. Um, give me a second. Give me a minute. All right. So the last one, increasing and decreasing adoption.
More individuals are using or gravitating towards digital media products to edit photos and videos to enhance their appearance and sharing these on their profiles on Facebook, Catfish, WhatsApp, Blackberry, etc., showing off their artistic talents. Oh, or even the lack of therefore. More people are moving away from low end open source software to high end commercial software.
Good. Oh, we didn't talk about that point in the last one. So, adoption, increasing and decreasing adoption. Persons basically see today that they see the advantage, basically, of using digital media. Like, for instance, artists and so on, persons who like to create content, maybe create a poster, a flyer, and so on. Instead of doing from scratch, they would, instead of drawing, so on, they see the need, or not the need, but they would see the advantage of using digital media to carry out that task instead of doing it physically. So, because as the paragraph mentioned, their lack of artistic skills, some persons might not have such, and we have a lot of tools that can basically compensate for that lack of skill. Um, But going back to this point here, a lot of persons they are moving towards commercial software because even though open source software is free and affordable, it might not have all of the features that a proprietary software might have. A commercial software, commercial software they tend to have more features, more reliability than the um, open source software. So when a person is skilled enough, they're confident in what they do, and they know that they're making enough money, they can afford it, and so on, they tend to gravitate or to adopt commercial software because one, they know they can afford it now. They know they can make back the money if they use the software. They know that they're comfortable enough to make use of it. All of that leads to the adoption of commercial software there. Good. So that brings us to the end of objective 12. Any comments, questions?
No.
All right. Any questions, comments on anything from today before we close? That's it for today. So we finally finished with a module.
No.
Amazing.
Have you guys finished any module for any of your other subjects?
Have we?
Like in school or overall?
Overall, anywhere, anyhow.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's a really good question.
The question is, are you following your syllabus to know if you've covered a module or not?
Yes, but the answer to your first question would be a definite no. Yeah.
Well, you just did, so how would it be a no?
Well, except this subject. Hello, hello.
I'm thinking about